Creepypasta is a delicate flower, one that should be handled carefully. This subgenre can be easily wilted and must constantly be pruned to maximize its beauty. Oftentimes, however, the dumbest parts of the internet handle problems requiring an X-Acto knife with a sledgehammer instead. They aren't careful with that sledgehammer either, no Hunter Hearst Helmsley handling. So the bittersweet taste of nostalgia, a key ingredient in creepypasta, is poured by the bagful onto stories hoping to bank off 90s brand recognition. Nostalgia falls victim to the laws of diminishing returns in these stories. The fool ruins it for everyone, consumer and author alike. So I want to explain what nostalgia is and what it isn't, how it functions and where it fails to, and also explain why we're so damn spoiled nowadays. Nostalgia is, noun, the sentimental, longful, or wistful affection for the past, typically for a period or place with happy personal associations. Synonyms: reminisce, remembrance, recollection. Nostalgia is about being reminded of something you forgot about, usually, if not always, about something that made you happy. Nostalgia may be about happy memories of a simpler time, but it itself isn't really a positive emotion. Nostalgia is a painful feeling that we willfully subject ourselves to. We embrace nostalgia out of fear, the fear of forgetting. When we are reminded of something that we love, something that we forgot about, there is a fear that we will forget that again, that if we forget it again, that memory will be gone forever. Because logically, there is a good chance that that might happen. After all, we forget memories constantly. But nostalgia hides an even deeper fear, one that nags at us, but hardly ever surfaces to the conscious mind. This deep fear is of the unknown. The unknown is our past, because if we can forget this thing that we loved so easily, then think of all the other important memories we have lost, and how many more we will lose. Here's what nostalgia isn't. Pokemon. We as millennials don't need to be reminded that Pokemon is a thing that we once liked, as many of us still like it. Most of us have played the most recent games. Many of us have nieces and nephews that still play these games constantly. Pokemon was a cultural touchstone worldwide, and while some of us may have grown out of liking Pokemon, it hasn't gone away, and it's impossible to forget, unless you have retrograde amnesia for retro games. Here are some good examples of nostalgia. 100 Good Deeds for Eddie McDowd. Pogs. Those multicolored pens where you click down 2 colors at the same time and be disappointed when nothing happens. These are things that we've actually forgotten about. I'm guessing I don't need to explain what the difference is much more than that. I'm sure you feel the difference without me explaining it, if you are indeed a 90s kid. So go to the source of nostalgia for creepypasta writers, and it's usually video games from decades past or popular cartoons. I doubt these feelings are mine alone, but I don't feel nostalgia reading a creepypasta based on a fictional cartridge of Pokemon Red. Not only do Pokemon-based creepypastas fail to find clever mechanics to weave horror and nostalgia together, but it's not nostalgic. Never mind the fact haunted cartridges are a trope so worn that they can't possibly be believable. How one can even write a haunted cartridge story and make it original at this point, let alone realistic, is beyond me. It's such a highly specific set of circumstances to come across that imitation, rather than innovation or iteration even, is the same problem that results in the symptoms of creepypastas that don't understand what nostalgia is and how it functions. The clever creepypasta writer manufactures memories, pulls from history for a feeling of authority in one's story, and utilizes a light sprinkling of nostalgic thoughts just to add context and details. Think of nostalgia as a homeopathic drug, only this drug works and actually has a memory unlike water. The less nostalgia a creator uses, the more nostalgia the consumer feels. Yet these lost episode and haunted cartridge stories are so popular. So why? It's a few reasons, I think. One is the brand recognition pulls eyes in. All it takes is one good story using a trope to get eyes on similar stories using similar naming conventions. The Pokemon Black Creepypasta has a few good ideas even if it's flawed, such as Pokemon dying rather than fainting. So people end up liking that story. Often people too young to be skeptical of claims on the internet, or people too naive to see the faults in such a story. And with one successful story about a haunted cartridge or hacked game, we receive a million clones, banking off the original's concept and off of the name recognition of Pokemon. But do you feel a strange sense of loss when you listen to these clones? Or Pokemon Black for that matter? Is that satisfying to you? I'm talking specifically to millennials. At a certain point, you go from feeling a sense of loss to feeling an obligation to consume. The joy the drug of nostalgia once brought you is gone, and you still constantly relive the experience of past lives. The fear of loss of memories informs your worldview, and you become stuck in the past. A past that could no longer be. See, I miss the old days of creepypasta, so I've tried to learn what I can from those stories, from those times, and see how I can apply them now in this new context. Don't let nostalgia keep you in a past that becomes compressed and less fulfilling as time goes on. Don't let nostalgia do that to you at the price of preventing you from having a future and making new memories. Let's forget, so that one day we might remember. If you've enjoyed the content of this video, please leave a comment or consider subscribing